This is the most ultimate commercial golf simulator I've ever built. In today's video, I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process of how I built this commercial golf simulator. We're going to go through all of the components, teach you tips and tricks that you're going to want to know if you're thinking about building a golf simulator. And really, the star of the show, the Carl's Pro Golf Simulator Enclosure. This is actually a new model that they just released. What does that bring to the table? Well, new fabric, so it's actually going to let less light in and be more durable. I actually have the new premium gray screen that you can see here, and that's being lit up by a 7,000 lumen projector. And over on the right, a 43-inch touchscreen monitor that we're going to talk about. But other things that stand this apart. So the new Carl's Pro Golf Simulator Enclosure also has a new crossbar that's actually adjustable. So depending on which launch monitor you're using, you can actually adjust it to be the distance that you need. So I thought that was a really cool feature. Plus, when you talk about the size that we have here, this is 15.5 feet wide by 15 feet deep and 10 feet tall. Now, what does that allow for? Well, it allows me to mount the projector right to this Pro Golf Simulator enclosure because it has heavy-duty EMT pipe. Makes it completely freestanding, along with a launch monitor that's mounted to that crossbar. So this can be a freestanding unit. So depending on whether you're at home, maybe in a large garage or barn dominium, or a commercial facility that doesn't want to spend a bunch of money building walls or maybe permanent structure changes or anything along those lines, you could put this up and be standing all apart by yourself. Now, I'm going to take you through all kinds of things in this video, so make sure you stay tuned. We're going to show a time lapse of how this all got assembled. I'm going to show a full walk around video highlighting all the components and things that you might want to know, tips and tricks, things along those lines that I do when I do a build like this. But also, I'm going to provide discounts and links to a lot of the products. So whether you need to email me below, sometimes you do need to email me for a discount code, they can't be published, or the links and discount codes that I provide down in the description. Make sure you take advantage of those. I'm always happy to answer your questions, guys, so shoot me an email. But I'd like to start off by showing a time lapse of how this all came together, really from just a few boxes and then tubes of the poles that are included. Now, that's the other thing I will bring up to you guys. Notice when I build this, I'm actually using the poles that are out of the tubes. You can actually cut those poles yourself from Carl's. So it really depends on the budget or capabilities that you have, if you just want everything to show up or if you want to piece it together individually. There's a lot of options you should look at as well. But let's just start off by looking at that time lapse so I can just kind of explain how this showed up and how it got assembled. It's pretty cool too. My daughter ended up helping me out with this because I do recommend 2 people with this size of structure and that heavy-duty EMT. My wife stepped in, helped with some Velcro and some padding, so it was a family thing. It was really cool, and it turned out great. Let's take a look. So the first thing we always want to do is get organized, make sure the garage is clean, lay out our turf. We actually measured the space, make sure it was all proper, and then started to unpackage things. The connector pieces actually need all the screws backed out. That's very important because you want to make sure your poles are going to fit all the way into the connectors. Otherwise, you could have a sizing issue if one wasn't slid all the way in. Next, unpackage those poles, or if you cut your own, I suggest laying them out in a nice organized fashion. In this case, ours were all lettered, so we were able to lay them out and have everything set out so we knew exactly where it was and we could start putting them together and kind of move along quickly. So we're putting together those pieces based on our cut sheet using the connectors, and it went together actually quite fast. You know, my daughter definitely was helping a lot, laying things out while I screwed them together, really gets things going along, and then got those pieces up nice and tall. You can see that's 10 feet tall. So I was able to use a short ladder for the most part. I suggest making sure that you're comfortable and safe when you're doing something like this. You can see I kind of moved the camera because the pole was in the way. I mean, this is a huge enclosure, and you can see how much of the garage it's really taking up. But with just having the 2 of us and her, you know, not ever doing this before, things were moving along really fast. And I like how well fit all of the EMT and the pieces are. You know, just following along with that cut sheet makes things easy. Once we got the frame together, we actually got the black cover, which is now all one piece. And you're able just to drape that over top and then start using the Velcro and getting that nice and tight. You actually use the zip ties in the back, hang the screen with zip ties. Don't pull them tight, don't stretch on anything. I actually worked on the crossbar while they were working on some Velcro. I actually pre-hung the IXO and mount and then lifted it up. I thought that was kind of cool. I worked on the lighting and then the projector, was able just to dial that in, and then right after that we were hitting shots and everything was looking great. So it was a really smooth build overall. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that time lapse. I kicked on some lighting inside here just so we have a little more light to show you all of the different components, and I'll give you guys a quick walk around. So first thing I want to point out is this enclosure is massive, 15.5 feet wide. I'm actually have to use a wide angle lens to properly show this, but I'm only using the 4x5 Carl's Hot Shot mat. And I've been testing some different inserts I'll talk about here in just a second, but I want to make sure everybody understood that 15.5 feet wide is massive. It's plenty to have a dual dexterity mat and have a center T position. So you'll see my T position is dead center right down the middle. Wanted to make sure you guys understood that that was the only reason, because I've been testing out these different inserts that they have. So I believe this is the gel insert. Very heavy, so it stays planted. It is a little more dense on top versus the generic one that comes with the Hot Shot mat. I really am enjoying this one so far. I'm gonna go through and probably do a full review for you guys on all their different inserts that they have. But wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Now the guys at the Michigan SynLawn actually helped me with this turf. So gave me a discount. I was able to get their premium putting turf. You know, if you guys are located in Michigan or nearby, and you want some information on that, what's cool is when you have a really good putting turf like that, SynLawn in Michigan pointed out that why wouldn't you utilize all of this square footage for putting practice? And you could do a raised floor, so a little bit of a subfloor, either using some foam or different materials where you raise up that turf and sink in your hitting mat. I didn't do that just because I'm not sure if that's what I'm gonna do or what my final mat will be, if I wanna do dual dexterity or not. So I just left it as is, and I've been putting on it already, and it's just fantastic. So let's go ahead and look really quick at this screen. So this is that gray screen. And I'm telling you, when you have a well-lit projector, like 7,000 lumens is overboard. Even if you had 5,000, it'd probably be plenty, but this Epson 4K enhancement is looking just awesome on this gray screen. It just brings out the colors and everything. And then you go with the premium Carl's, it has a tighter weave, it's quieter. Definitely recommend that. Now let's just talk really quick about the enclosure itself. This side now that I talked about, and it's tough to see, I'll kind of brighten that up. This is actually a new material that is darker and heavier duty, but also comes all in one piece. So if you noticed in that time lapse, when we put this cover and side on, it actually goes in all in one piece. And here's what's funny, even with a T5 high bay light, it barely, like, it's only a foot away from it, it's barely coming through. So it really blocks a lot of light. And while we're up here, let's just talk about this Epson projector really quick. Now here's what's cool. So when you have a projector with either the throw ratio that's going to work properly, or you have great zoom adjustability like this Epson does. This is the L795SE. I have a full review on it if you want to check it out. But it just allows you to mount right from the enclosure, so freestanding and out of the way. And you just get a perfect image from there. You'll notice when I hit some shots here in a minute that I don't have shadowing when I'm standing there at the ball. So it's a good distance and everything. Looks really good. Now we'll talk about really quick this adjustable crossbar. Allows me to mount that UNEEKOR IXO right from that crossbar, along with some lighting for my hitting area. So it makes it very seamless. I actually gave them a suggestion that, you know, we might want to consider a way to run the wiring down the pole. Right now, the fabric that covers that's a little tight. I'm not saying you couldn't fit the wiring down there, but it seemed like it was going to be a little tedious. So I ended up actually just going through the Velcro you see on top there. So let's walk over really quick and talk about this monster. 43-inch touchscreen, and it just really is a game changer. You could either duplicate your screen, or maybe if you're using a UNEEKOR IXO like I am, you could actually have the UNEEKOR software up here and be looking at all of your data and, you know, impact videos, everything along those lines. But I think being able to walk over and just touch and go is fantastic. And you'll notice I'm running a laptop that's sitting right on this little stand. This stand is nothing special, but it works just fine. I just turn my laptop screen right off. There's no reason to have that on. Now some might say, well, I like having a keyboard. I mean, I don't really feel like I want to go down and touch. Well, guess what? If you get yourself a wireless you could call it a keyboard. It has a keypad on it too. A wireless keypad and keyboard like this. They're inexpensive. You throw a USB in and it's amazing. So I'll just turn it on really quick and just kind of show you guys how this works. So we'll turn it on and now you see that mouse that's moving around on the screen. So I could type, I could scroll, I could do whatever, all from this little keypad. I could have it in my back pocket for that matter. So there are a lot of options out there that you should consider, you know, if you're looking to have, you know, an external keyboard of some sort. So I'd like to take actually a quick walk around the back of the enclosure. So let's go ahead and just look at how massive this thing is, but just really good looking material. So if you actually were you know, in a commercial facility and you wanted something that was really good looking, you could do it. I also don't think I pointed out to you guys that this has the back cover. This is an optional back cover. So if you were to go to like your local supply store, like Home Depot or something, and cut your own EMT pipe, you would want to cut a couple extra pipes for this if you bought this cover, all right? Because the screen actually only goes to here. And then this is optional for this back cover. So this is actually movement for the screen. You could almost butt this up to the wall. I would test it first just to double check that the balls aren't moving. That giant screen though, it's amazing how limited movement there are from large screens, but it just looks so clean and professional that you could have this standing in a commercial environment, no problem. And you can see how much of the garage that this takes up. The 15.5 feet obviously is very, very big. But what I'd like to do now is take some shots and show you guys this thing in action, show you how quiet the screen is, everything along those lines. Let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so now is the fun part. You spent that time building something like this, you get to those first shots, and it's very rewarding. But there are a few things I want you guys to pay attention to when I give some demo shots. When the ball hits the screen, a lot of times you can hear a crack on some screens. Well, this is gonna be more of like a thud, and that premium material is nice and soft, it absorbs the ball. The size of the screen helps as well, and you're not using ball bungees anymore, you're using zip ties hanging the screen, allowing it to absorb rather than the ball bungees springing back and it having a lot of bounce back. So a few things to pay attention to there. So I picked the Hills course. We're out here at number 5, which is probably the smallest screen in the software for that matter. I mean, look at this, the size of this thing. Is no depth at all. But I hit a couple test shots and I have an idea that I can kind of fade a 9-iron down there and you guys will be able to kind of see some good examples. So let's see if we can hit little soft cuts down there as examples for you guys, and then we'll show you other couple things as well. Hopefully that cuts in nice and soft. It's not too much. Little cut. Oh my gosh. Whew, I only hit a couple test shots. None of them were that good. So it looks like I saved the right time. I almost hit the pin. And it's just a really good experience. I mean, I do think that this mat, like I told you, versus the original that I had for the Hot Shot, is a really nice experience. It's what I'm used to for something that just has a little bit of forgiveness, but it also will penalize you if you hit behind the shot. You can hit down into the ball a little bit. So let's go ahead and hit one more. Oh, I didn't hold it off enough. It's not gonna cut. It's funny because it's like I could almost get a pitching wedge there. It's so far downhill. And I just really like the bounce back that I'm getting. You guys will notice it's just very quiet. I'm in a garage, so I have garage doors right here. It's not like I'm insulated with a lot of fabric. Yes, the fabric of the enclosure does quiet things down really nice, but it's not like there's a lot of things to absorb the sound. So let's go ahead and give a pitching wedge a try really quick too. You guys will kind of get some different shots, and I'll maybe do a full on-course review for you guys. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Play a good 9 or 18 holes right inside the sim. It's going to be a great space for doing all kinds of different reviews. All right, so this would be more of a normal shot, not cut as much, I don't think. Little draw, more spin hopefully, even though it's a draw. Oh, did it hit the green? Oh, it hit the pin and didn't go in. Oh my gosh, if it would have hit the green, that would have been amazing. Well, we're gonna end there for the demo shots. I actually do want to show you guys though, putting on something like this really quick, because I get this question a lot. Everyone thinks that you need like some amazing, you know, flat, perfect experience for putting. But when you're dealing with camera systems, IXO or side launch monitor, anything like that, that's measuring a putt within about a foot or less, you don't need that rolling experience unless you want it. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm actually going to use my trusty touchpad here, and I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna select the ball, and then I'm going to go down to the green, and we'll just go ahead and put it down there. How is that? That's not bad. I'll deal with that. And then you can either putt straight if you want to. So you could, I'm not used to double tapping on this. That actually, you could hit OK, you can click forward. There's a lot of options on here. You can scroll, you can do all kinds of things. I think that's probably about right, 10 feet. So I think that's a good example. I really like that little wireless controller, but I wanted to make sure that everyone understands that if you want a subfloor, that's fantastic and make this a smooth experience. But watch this. I might aim just a little left in the sim too, because this is even downhill. This is a slippery putt. So it should be playing about 7 feet. I'm only gonna putt it for probably 3 or 4, you know, in the sim, I think. Look how slippery that is. Whoo! I don't think I needed to aim left though. I think my aim point was pretty good. So let's hit one more. And I can even move it if you guys want to and do a little bit longer putt, but I almost want to demonstrate what you can do outside of here as well. I have an idea, kind of a tip and trick that I can talk to you guys about. So one more. Oh, it burnt the edge. Burnt the edge, but see how good of an experience this is? You do not need a flat surface. I mean, that's a question I get all of the time. You do not need a flat surface. Let's see if I can almost push this putt just a little bit. Get in there, get in there. Just took a second to get used to it. Let me show you guys really quick. Since we're on the subject of putting and everything, I can be all the way over in the corner of this sim. I could use my laser align with the cup. So they have cups that just sit on top of turf as well. And you can just be making, you know, putting practice and from any spot that you want. And just a fantastic roll. I'm very fortunate. This is actually a very, very flat surface. So if I stand right here and I'll try to give a putting example for you guys just going straight, you'll see how straight this ball is. Look how nice that rolls. So it actually could be a whole new experience for you. And you could also do player to sides in software. So if you wanted to, you could set up a couple holes. And you could have like a 5-foot putt, a 10-foot putt, a 15-foot putt, and actually do a real putting experience. And if you make it, then it's a 1-putt or 2-putt, etc. So lots of different options there. I kind of like sharing those little tips and tricks with everybody along the way. But I'm interested in what you guys think of the updates to the Carl's Pro Golf Simulator Enclosure. All the different things that I shared, anything from this Epson projector to the IXO, to the lighting, to the turf, to the hitting mats, to anything along the way. How about that 43-inch touchscreen monitor? I wish I'll probably do a whole separate review on that, but I do have a special discount code to Touchscreen Guru because that has kind of transformed this whole experience. I probably would have that monitor on that side normally, but I wanted you guys to see it as part of the experience. But it just makes it so nice, and you could put different things on there. You could have multiple ones if you wanted to, but very seamless and easy. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understands that. I really appreciate you guys watching as always. Please comment below any questions, tips that you have even, on builds. But feedback, anything along those lines, make sure you throw it in the comments. Email me if you're looking to do a build. I have partners, like I said, I have discount codes, I have all of that to help you guys with things like this. And I'm excited to show you guys more of this build in the future. So stay tuned, there'll be a lot more coming soon.